Hi everybody, Tom Cassidy here with Charles Cassidy. We're talking about the framework for exceptional teaching. In particular, we're talking about week 6, the characteristic of taking risks. And
which is why we're doing this suspended from a while.
yeah, with sharks in the lake. This sounds a bit like a cat poster to say it, but I really believe it. The greatest risk is not taking risks itself. And in order for students to take risks, we've got to take risks. So we've got to try stuff, haven't we? We've got to go out there and tell them we're doing things we've never done before, and be prepared to just make lots of mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even beyond necessarily telling them, which ties into what we were doing before, you have to take risks, because if you're not taking risks, you're only doing things that you know work, and you already know they work. So that's fine, that's great. But if that's as far as you're prepared to go, then that ties into the whole, you never get better than your 5th year of teaching, because how can you possibly expand your repertoire? Or you can't. So you have to you've got your kit bag, things that definitely work, and you should be doing those a lot of the time. You don't want to be just constantly making everything up as you go. But you're never going to expand your experiences and skills as a teacher unless you're prepared to move outside what works. So by definition, you have to take risks. And I think beyond that, it's only really by playing around the fringes that you can sort of hone and fine-tune your philosophy. Because otherwise you sort of calcify, don't you? And you're just a husk of a teacher.
And what you have to do is you have to work against inertia. The reason why in Germany we're talking about about 80% of the population is an organ donor, and in Austria, a neighboring country, only about 20% is because of inertia. In Germany, you have to opt out to say you deliberately, consciously don't want to be a donor. With Austria, you have to opt in. So if you are just relying on sort of gradual risk taking, inertia will set in after a while and you won't really do it. That's why you need it in a focus like this. So every 9 weeks, when you come down to this, we're going to take risks, we're going to deliberately do that, and then it'll permeate into other areas. One of the things I think is really important in taking risks is to not take lots of risks at the same time.
No, that's just reckless.
Exactly. There's a difference, and you've got to use your own discernment about. But so once as you say, you've got your toolkit, the things that work pretty well, we'll try messing around with the end of a lesson for a bit, or the beginning of a lesson, or perhaps with how you do homework or things like that. So don't innovate with everything all at the same time. We're talking about marginal gains here after all. But there is no. And the other thing is, you've got to really reward what you want to encourage, right? So you have to reward yourself for having taken risks and having made mistakes, because making mistakes is usually a sign that you were taking risks, right? So actually, failure is something that we need to not just tolerate, we need to really celebrate.
No, absolutely. And that's, again, this seems to be a theme that I hadn't really thought about before this session, but
it took a bit of a risk then.
But this we are modeling behaviors that we want to nurture in pupils, because particularly in my subject, mathematics, pupils, when they're younger, they see errors as, any mistake is a bad thing, because you've been told a very simple algorithm to follow, and if the answer is wrong, then it's just wrong. But as you get a bit older and you kind of move into sort of problem solving areas of maths, that's how you make progress, is by sort of, it's like, I just wanted to eliminate you from our inquiries, madam, I have a few questions. You eliminate things, and that's how you get closer to the truth. But pupils in the early years, they've been led to the belief that any error is bad, but it's not. That is part of the process. So you have to be able to model that to the pupils as well, by saying, I'm going to be trying things to see, to find more things that work. And in mathematics, when pupils are getting into problem solving, they have to get used to this idea that I've tried something, it didn't work. That's so the next step is I try something else. It's not like, that venture,
I'm therefore a failure.
It's over. It's over with me in maths. It's like, that's exactly the part of the process you get. I've tried that hasn't worked, so I now know that it's got to be over here somewhere. I'll try this, and that doesn't work, and that's how you progress. So we need to model that behavior in teaching.
I think one of the things that I believe is that you can't give what you haven't got. So this is something that we have to be doing. We have to be living all this stuff that we want to inculcate in children. So we have to, if we want them to take risks, we've got to, as you say, model it. We've got to do it. We've got to evidentially model it and draw their attention to it as well. I think, I'm going to try this for the first time. Who knows? And it's okay. And if it doesn't work, mathematicians, actually maths teachers, we're probably largely to blame for this kind of problem with failure, because I think maths is the first opportunity kids often get in their lives to actually be wrong at things.
Completely.
Because I mean, they could be naughty and not follow the parents' rules, but they can't actually be wrong until they get to school and they trust their intuition and do something and say, no, that's not right. And then they've got this, oh, it's possible to actually be wrong. And they don't like that. And then that spills out into all other areas of life. Now, what we want to do is celebrate wrongness, because a wrongness indicates an attempt. An attempt is what we want to encourage. We want to encourage these attempts. And we probably need to work really hard on that as maths teachers, so that we've got a chance to infiltrate society with this. I mean, because scientists believe it. There is no failure, there's just science. But mathematicians, and I do this, I say, oh, good try, good try, good try, good try, yeah, well done, good try, good try, good try. And then, oh yeah, that's the right answer. So I'm still placing subtly more importance on correctness than...
But I think that there's a clarification here that's necessary, because in maths, and you could expand it to any field, there is a goal that you need to hit. Like, people that might be listening to this, they want to become an exceptional teacher. So if they don't become an exceptional teacher, then that isn't success. That is bad. So and in maths, there is a certain number of handshakes that took place, or there is a certain total that needs to be reached. So we can't. What we're not saying is that it's great to just completely get the right answer. So, but what you are encouraging them to say, what you're encouraging them to believe, is that there are many different ways of arriving at the same conclusion. Whether there are different frameworks that you can adopt to become an exceptional teacher, or whether there are different approaches you can adopt to finding out the number of handshakes. So,
each one of which will have lots and lots of possibilities to get feedback, and then to get tighter to the goal. So
there could also be completely independent, totally valid ways of arriving there, and there is not one correct way of doing it. So I think with maths, and not wanting to spend too much time on maths, but what we do by telling pupils that that's not the right method to adopt is you erode their intuition about maths, which can that can very quickly lead to them coming to the conclusion that
they can't, they don't get
not
maths.
For them. They don't get maths, because
exactly.
every idea I have, Mr. Cassidy says no, there's a better way of doing it. And I understand where that comes from, because you as a teacher, you're trying to show this beautiful, elegant, efficient way of doing it. But what you're doing is you're eroding their sense that they get the subject at all. So
it's a big one. I mean, summarizing, you've got, what did we do? What did we learn? What could we try next? That's a nice sort of way of looking at taking risks, because if we only stick to what we know works, we're not going to learn probably very much from it. Are we? And so we're not going to be encouraged to try new things.
And we all want to grow and learn.
We all do. Right. Okay.